Welcome to the Blockchain Hustle, where I take a look at some interesting plays of how blockchain technology is opening up new business vistas across multiple industries. Hi everyone, this is your host Meenu Serene, and I would be talking about smart contracts in this episode. Actually, I would cover this concept of smart contracts in multiple episodes. In this particular one, I would speak about what is a smart contract and how do you construct one. In my next episode, I would talk about the business applications of a smart contract. And in a subsequent one, it would be about the importance of good data in a smart contract, including the coverage of oracles. So let's begin with this one on what is a smart contract. You know what is very interesting, though a primitive example of a smart contract? A vending machine. So what do you do when you want to buy a can of soda? You select the soda that you want by punching in the particular numbers, and then you insert the money. If the money is adequate, the machine would eject the can and remaining change, if any. And if the money is not adequate, it will wait till you insert the full amount. So the machine has actually a program. It has got hard-coded rules which defines what happens when certain conditions are met. And when those conditions are fulfilled, it executes certain actions. So in this particular case, it will eject that can of soda only when the requisite amount of cash has been tendered to it. So that, folks, is your basic smart contract. Actually, this example was made famous by a computer scientist and a cryptographer called Nick Szabo, who called the vending machine as the granddaddy of all smart contracts. Now, smart contracts are basically programs. So they execute as per the code. And in the case of a blockchain, these rules or this program, they are defined and enforced by the code on a blockchain. Now, one can ask, how are these smart contracts any different from the business rules automation software? Well, conceptually, the principle is the same. However, in the case of a smart contract, the smart contract can span across multiple entities. It goes across multiple organizations. And being on a blockchain, the rules of the smart contract would be applied to and thus implemented across all the business entities, all the nodes which are there on the blockchain. The existing ways of automating business rules, they cannot do that. They are limited to the business entity in which these rules are implemented, created, etc. This term or phrase, smart contract, can somewhat be misleading because being a code, the smart contract is as smart or as good as the creator, the person who has programmed it. Also, this smart code should not be confused with a legal contract. When you translate the business rules into a code, into the smart contract, it doesn't automatically bind it by the law of the land. So, in fact, it is not a legally enforceable agreement between the parties which are involved, at least as of now. So let's now get on to the construction part. Now, while in the past, developing or making a smart contract was a complex process, you had to know the scripting language, the programming code, etc. for constructing a smart contract. It is now no longer the case. You do not need to learn the smart contract scripting languages to make your own smart contract. A number of tools have come out into the market now in which you can put together a basic smart contract. An example I cite is from a company called Zinfin, which is into the hybrid blockchain protocol. It has a DApp, a decentralized app called the mycontract.io, in which you can generate a smart contract of your very own token in a few minutes by just providing some basic token details. These details are like a token name, token symbol, the decimals, token decimals, and the total supply and the sale limit of your tokens. And all this is done in an easy to grasp environment. So you do not actually need to know the underlying of the smart contract. How do you code it, etc. You just have to understand the business agreement or the business rules that you want to encode. So for the enterprises, what it means is that You need to understand your data. You need to modularize it, the logic, the contract participants, the dependencies, both external as well as internal, and you combine them to create your contract templates. Keep one thing in mind, however, that we need to ensure, being enterprise applications, we need to ensure the privacy, the scale, the performance, and the management capabilities which are expected in an enterprise application. Now, going back on to the vending machine example, with the advent of the automatic vending machines, it kind of slashed the transaction cost because it made the dedicated stores for the soda cans, etc. It made those particular stores obsolete. And not only slashing of the transaction cost, but it also expanded the service to a 24/7 availability, which was something which was not economically viable for those stores at that time. Similarly, the smart contracts, they have removed the need for the third party intermediaries, which means that the participants can enter into an agreement. They can do the transaction which is required directly with each other. There is no need for a third party intermediary in this, which translates into the reduction of your transaction friction and the cost. And it allows for the decentralized automation. And this it does by facilitating, verifying, and enforcing the conditions of the underlying agreement, the smart contract. So I would be covering more on this as well as the business applications of a smart contract in my next episode. So do stay tuned. And thanks a lot for listening in.